Om Sahanatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavi Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We studied last week and we continue that study of the illusions, the intrinsic illusion and the extrinsic illusion, the two illusions, and then how both illusions combine together. Till now we have seen what is a illusion, what is Maya. We have seen that. Maya means a projection. One is a creation, another is a projection. So Vedanta says, is world a creation or a projection? The question. The first question is world a creation or a projection? Vedanta answer is, it is a projection, not a creation. First thing, that is very clear. You have to be very clear. It is not a creation, it is a projection. And then we saw those two words, the manifest and the unmanifest. I'm just recollecting all that we have studied, and we'll move on to the intrinsic and extrinsic. And then we saw those two words, manifest and the unmanifest. So projection means the manifestation. It manifests and then it becomes unmanifest. It manifests, it becomes unmanifest. For any projection to happen, you need a base, adhishtanam. For any projection to happen, it is very clearly established that we need a base, and that base is called the adhishtanam, the real. So the real is necessary for any projection to happen. How the real has been lost and how the projection appears to be real is the explanation of the two illusions. The two illusions, intrinsic and extrinsic, talks about only this point, the point of how the projection must need a base. Adhishtanam, it's called. How the real is missed and how the projection is understood as real. What is happening that the projection appears to be so real? That is because of the play of Maya, the two illusions. That is the connection. So this is what we have studied. This is what we have studied till now. What are the two types of illusions? The intrinsic illusion and the extrinsic illusion. And we saw both of them separately first. Intrinsic illusion means an illusion where the real and the image do not coexist. Extrinsic illusion is that where the real, the image, and the reflecting medium coexist. What is an intrinsic illusion? Intrinsic illusion is the image and the real do not coexist. In an extrinsic illusion, the three coexist. What are the three? The real, the image, the medium by which the reflection happens. The example for intrinsic illusion we saw is the post and the ghost. The example for extrinsic illusion is reflection in a mirror. And we have seen this any number of times. Any example we use, you should fit it in the context. If you take the example out of the context or try to bring in factors which is not relevant, then it becomes very difficult. That is that wherever we are using an example, and we are going to use an example. The example that we are going to use is the rope and the snake. The analogy. Whenever we use an analogy, you should understand no example, no metaphor, no analogy is complete in itself. That we have to understand that. No analogy, no metaphor, no example is complete in itself, because each metaphor is limited and can be easily negated from a different angle. It can be easily negated from a different angle. Therefore, in Vedanta, when we start using a metaphor, we set the grounds very clear for analysis. What is it? We are going to use metaphors, and metaphors are not complete. Why? Because it is limited and it can be easily negated from different angle. More importantly, metaphors are effective only when used in the context. When you take the metaphor out of context, it is useless. For example, when we say intrinsic illusion, the metaphor that is used is post and the ghost. We restrict it to that comparison. When we use the metaphor in the extrinsic illusion, the example is the mirror, the image, and the real you. So the real object, the image, the medium, all three coexist. For everything has a meaning only when you restrict it to the context. When you take it out of context, you are always in trouble. Even the best advice given should be taken in the context. Any advice given is also, if it is taken in the context only, it becomes meaningful, practical. If you take it outside context, the very advice becomes meaningful. The very advice becomes so meaningless, useless, because it is given in a context. Lack of clarity, poor thinking is not knowing how to fit in everything in the context. That is poor thinking. Right thinking, clarity means you know how everything fits in the context. That is right thinking. That's why even the advice given becomes so useless, because it is applied in the wrong context. For the same person, different context, the advice doesn't help. The advice that is given to one will not help another. Therefore, this is called clarity in thinking. When we are coming to this intrinsic and extrinsic illusion and all the deeper study, the subtlest study, we are expected to have this clarity. It is assumed that we have this clarity and we don't mix up. It is expected. But sir, if we keep mixing up, what will happen? He said, don't worry. We will restudy the book. we will go and restart the book again from the beginning, not from some middle paragraph. We will restart the book from the beginning. So with this background, we are using the metaphor. What is the metaphor? For intrinsic illusion, what is the metaphor that is used? The post and the ghost. For an extrinsic illusion, the metaphor that is used is the object, the image, and the reflecting medium. Now we understand how both illusions play separately. The actual Maya starts now. What is actual Maya starting now? Both intrinsic and extrinsic illusion appear simultaneously in a single illusion. Both placed together in the same illusion. And that is the example of the rope and the snake. That is the example of rope and the snake, where both the illusions appear simultaneously. If appearance is simultaneous, disappearance is also simultaneous. Understand that? Appearance is simultaneous means disappearance also is simultaneous. But for logical purposes, we talk about it as though step 1, step 2. For analytical purposes, we talk as though intrinsic came first and then extrinsic comes second. Because why we have to talk like that? If Adiseshan was here talking, you know Adiseshan, no? What is Adiseshan? The snake. Lord Vishnu lies on that snake. It has 5 mouths. It can speak simultaneously 5 things. Here we have only one mouth. Therefore, we can't say how it is happening simultaneously, but we talk about it as though it is happening sequentially. First, understand it as though it is sequential, and then, if you really want to go mad, not that you are sane now, you really want to go mad, mix it up together and understand both are simultaneous. That's all. Now we will explain this rope and snake. How does this rope and snake happen? The analogy of rope and snake. A few things that is very important in this analogy. What is this analogy? The boy treading on a rope sees the snake. Okay. What is he actually seeing now? What is he actually seeing? He is seeing only the snake. What are you seeing? The boy is seeing the snake. Srikanth. Paiya paamba paakaran. Yeah. What are you seeing? The rope. You are seeing the rope. The boy is seeing the snake. So you are seeing 2 different realities now. Now there are 2 realities. What are the 2 realities now? There is a person claiming snake as real. There is a person claiming the rope as real. What is the real? Because both cannot be. There cannot be 2 realities. Snake and rope both cannot be real. What is real? The wise man comes and says, there is no problem. The ignorant person comes and says, there is only problem. And both cannot coexist. Therefore, how does the person who is seeing the rope help the person to understand what you are seeing as snake is nothing but a rope. There is no snake there. This is how it has to be studied. Here is a person seeing the rope. Here is a person seeing the snake. If all are seeing the snake, no problems at all. If all are seeing the snake, there's no problem. Why? Because all will be trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. Have you ever noticed none of your problems get sorted out? Why? One get replaced with another. No problems get sorted out. Why? Because in reality, there's no problem. In reality, there is no problem. But here is a whole lot of people seeing a problem. And here is one person saying there is no problem. There are two realities now we are seeing. What is the reality? One person saying there is a problem, another person saying there is no problem. For the person who is saying there is no problem, it is real. For the person who is experiencing a problem, is also real. Now, this person will try to convince this person, and this person will try to convince other. What are we discussing here? What is real? And how to help the person seeing the snake, that what you are seeing is imaginary. In fact, you are only misunderstanding the real to be the snake. That is the challenge. That is the most difficult thing. The most difficult thing here is what you are seeing as snake is only a misunderstanding of the real. In fact, it is only real. In fact, there is only real. So how does the understanding starts? We do the analysis, and then I'll connect it to how the intrinsic and extrinsic plays. Then it becomes easy to follow. So the first condition is what? The rope is there. That is the first condition. If there is no rope, there is no adhishtanam for the snake. So first condition is what? There is a rope. Second, when the boy enters the room, the boy has to see something. So second condition is the boy seeing something. What is that he is seeing something? The snake. So before the snake appears, what has happened? He is seeing something. The rope is there. He is not seeing the rope, but he is seeing something. If he straight away sees the rope as a rope, there's no problem. So there is something, and he doesn't see it as the rope. The third condition is the rope is absolutely real. When we say the rope is absolutely real, before the error, during the error, after the error. The rope is absolutely real means before the error, during the error, after the error. That doesn't change. Therefore, it is called absolutely real. The snake is apparently real. Conditionally real. Apparent real means the reality is conditional. But for the boy, it is absolutely real, no, sir. But the boy, it is absolutely real, no. For which Vedanta says, cooperate with the analysis and then conclude whether it is real or not. Are you able to follow? The boy says it's absolutely real. Vedanta says, correct. Let us analyze it, cooperate with the analysis, and then we will conclude whether it is absolutely real or relatively real or it doesn't exist at all. All that we will see later. A the snake is a combination. The snake is a combination. What is a combination? Existence of the rope and the qualities of the rope. Existence of the rope means with qualities. The existence of the rope with the qualities of the rope. Where does snake come from? The existence of the rope and the qualities of the rope is misunderstood as the existence of the snake and qualities of the snake. இது வரைக்கும் okay, இங்க இருந்து தான் confusion starts. From here only the confusion starts. So the existence of the rope as in the qualities of the rope. The existence of the snake as in the qualities of the snake. No, if the rope were not there, the snake would not appear. That something is appearing as a snake. For all practical purposes, the existence of the snake is the proof that the rope is. Reaction is inevitable until the error is resolved. You reacting to the snake is inevitable. You reacting to the snake is inevitable until the error is resolved. You cannot say how not to get affected by the snake. I'll understand it as rope later, sir. Carefully follow now. I will understand it as rope and all later. But tell me how not to get affected by snake. What is the answer? As long as you see the snake, reaction is inevitable. As long as you perceive the world, reaction is inevitable. Another angle. The rope is not doing anything for the mistake or anything against the mistake. It only exists. The rope exists. The rope is not doing something so that you misunderstand it as a snake. Neither the rope does something to make you understand that it is a rope. It just exists. Now, to end the mistake, what one has to do? One has to understand it. One has to understand it rightly. And this right understanding is called knowledge. That's the definition of knowledge. What is the definition of knowledge? It reveals it as it is. Knowledge is that which reveals it as it is. Superimposition is your creation. Knowledge is that which reveals it as it is. Superimposition is what the mind projects. This is where a little bit of analysis is required even here. One is the existence, another is your superimposition. Knowledge reveals the superimposition and say it as it is. That is knowledge. Are you able to follow the definition of knowledge? There are two kinds. One is that exists. Another is your superimposition. Are you affected by the existence of it, or are you affected by your projection? The existence never causes affectation. Your superimposition causes affectation. You are not affected by the existence. Your superimposition causes affectation. It's called objective reality and subjective reality. Subjective reality is superimposition. Objective reality is as it is. Here, the snake is the subjective reality. Rope is objective. Are you able to follow? Relative examples I will give. Does money have, money means wealth. Does wealth have objective reality or subjective reality? Beauty has an objective reality or a subjective reality? The pothole has an objective reality or a subjective reality? When you are driving, Ram Subramaniam, you are driving, there is a pothole. Is that objective real or subjective real? Objective real. It is there. It is there. That's why even if you don't see it, if you hit it, you get affected. You feel it. That is objective real. What is subjective real? A person exists. A person exists. The existence of that person is objective real. Calling that person beauty or ugly is subjective reality. Are you able to follow now? What affects you? What affects you? Does the existence of the person affect you, or you projecting something is affecting? What affects? Subjective reality is that which affects. Are you okay till now? Ram Subramaniam. Agreed, huh? Does everyone agree to this? Srikanth? Huh? Everyone agrees to this? If everyone agrees to this, then all problems are self-created. If you accept this, if you understand this, all problems are self-created only. There is no problem. No, sir. Now you are, this we don't accept. Till now you are correct, but the conclusion that you are arriving, we don't accept. Are you able to follow? That subjective reality is Maya. That subjective reality is the play of the illusion, not the object. So what knowledge does? Knowledge removes the superimposition and reveals it as it is. What is it as it is? Here is a person with 2 hands and 2 legs, with the nose and eyes and ears and nose, etc. Here is a person. That's all. Good person, bad person, friend, enemy, beautiful, ugly, causing me joy, causing me misery. All that is what your mind superimposes on that person, for which that person is not at all responsible. Correct? Venkatachalam? For which that person is not responsible. Just as rope is not responsible. Just as, but then that's not how we live life, isn't it? That's not how we live life. How we live life, the subjective reality is more valuable than the existence. So, what is very important here to understand? The rope is in no way responsible for the reactions that you have because of the snake. Nor does the rope does anything to get rid of the snake. It simply exists. When mistake starts, it starts together. When it dissolves together. It means the snake comes out, and the snake, just as the snake didn't come out in step by step, it will not go out step by step. When you realize the snake, There is no other problem you have to solve. There is no problem you have to solve once you realize the snake as, once you realize the snake as an imagination, what is there is rope. All problems get solved only then. If you do not realize this, what happens? One after the other problem comes. It just because it is so beautiful that that snake is so beautiful because it will create one after the other. Like when Krishna, when he was a boy, when Krishna was a small boy, jumped into that lake, and there was the 1,000-headed snake, and Krishna did a dance, isn't it? He conquered, he subdued one head, another head came. He subdued that, another head came. He subdued that, another head came. It's called Kalinga Nardana, isn't it? Krishna, the name of that snake is Kalinga, and Krishna was dancing. Now rope and snake, we have done some study. From all the study, what we understand, under a condition, the boy saw a snake. Under a peculiar condition, under a particular condition, the boy saw the rope as the snake. What is that condition? What is that condition? You can call it poor light, you can call it partial light. In Vedanta, we call it as partial light. It's neither darkness nor bright. Something is there for that boy to misunderstand. So when he misunderstands, the two illusions happen. And both happen simultaneously. For analytical purposes, we study intrinsic first and then extrinsic second. Though you have to understand, both happens simultaneously. But sir, how do we understand the simultaneous? Rope and snake purila simultaneous. The dreamer and the dream world is created simultaneously. Correct? In the dream phenomena, the dreamer and the dream world is simultaneous. It is not that the dream world is there first and then the dreamer came and occupied. Neither the dreamer came first and then he sat and created the dream phenomena, the world. Correct? The dreamer and the dream world appears together and they dissolve also together. So the appearance is simultaneous for understanding purposes, because we are not Adiseshan sitting here and talking. Yeah, there is a story, no? There is a story where he was giving the Yoga Sutras. The Guru sat on the other side and said, put the curtain. Don't open the curtain and see. There are 50 students writing notes. I don't know how many students are here. I don't know the numbers. There are 50 students writing notes. And for all the 50 students, 50 subjects were spoken. Subramaniam, correct? Huh? 50 students were writing notes. And 50 different subjects were spoken at the same time. One student was so curious because the Guru said, don't open the curtain and see. The student is always, student means one who will break the command of the Guru. That's a student, isn't it? Sishyana yaru? Guru sonnada appadiye break pannada, he is a Sishya, isn't it? So the Guru said, don't open the curtain. And the Shishya, being a very legitimate Shishya, opened the curtain. And he fainted. He died. He fainted. Why? Because he saw Adiseshan talking. The Guru is the Adiseshan there. Adiseshan means 50 different mouths, 50 different subjects. Anga simultaneously he can talk. Inga, we don't have the luxury of Adiseshan teaching. Yeah. Therefore, one mouth we understand it as what? We understand it as though intrinsic comes first and extrinsic comes second. In reality, what is it? It is simultaneous. Now we come to this illusion now. You will have preparation pannittu, we come to the illusion. What is the illusion? Simple statement. What? The boy sees a snake. The very fact that the boy is seeing the snake, the intrinsic illusion has happened. The fact that the boy is seeing the snake means the intrinsic illusion has happened. Now, extrinsic illusion. What is extrinsic illusion? Nama Rupa comes in. Are you able to understand? First, the snake has to appear. Along with the appearance of the snake comes the properties of the snake also. It is not that the snake comes first and then properties gets added one by one. That's why it is simultaneous. As the snake comes, the properties of the snake also comes. So, for explanatory purposes, what do we say? The snake came first. Actually, it is wrong to say the snake came first, because minus the properties and qualities of the snake, how can you call it as a snake? Therefore, the properties of the snake appear together. For there is no snake minus the properties and the quality. Now, what are the properties of the snake? 6 feet long, 4 inches thick, brown in color. 6 feet long, 4 inches thick, brown in color. The description of the snake is nothing but the description of the rope. The description of the snake is nothing but the description of the rope. The properties of a snake is a mere reflection on the properties of the rope. In fact, the properties of the rope is misunderstood as properties of the snake. What is the medium here? Because in extrinsic illusion, we said a medium is required. Medium must exist. In an extrinsic illusion, we said the medium must exist. What is the medium here? The appearance of the illusory snake acts as the medium, causing the reflection of the properties. Therefore, world plays dual role here, double role. And all of the world and double standards. Because world play double role. What is the double role the world plays? It is the medium and also the properties. The world is the medium and also the properties. The image and the medium is one and the same. Dreamline topic ரொம்ப ஈஸியா இருக்கு sir. We will go to the dreamline topic, the next one. What is that intrinsic illusion? The extrinsic illusion here. The medium and the image is the same. It plays the dual role. You have to stretch your stretch the non-existing intellect. Every stretch பண்றது. You have to stretch this is where you have to stretch this is where the thinking has to be really stretched. What is it? The medium and the image is the same. In the mirror and the reflection, the limitation is the mirror is separate. In the example of mirror, in the example of reflection, the mirror is separate. In the example of rope and snake, what is the mirror? What is the image? The snake is the mirror, and the snake itself is the image. In the world is the mirror, the medium, and the world itself is a projection. இவ்வளோ குழப்பமா சொல்றதுக்கு it's just மித்யான்னு சொல்லிட்டு போயிருந்தா it would have been more easy, sir. Because mithya is more understandable than this intrinsic and extrinsic. Thus, the two sets of properties and medium all appear simultaneously. The two sets of properties. What are the two sets of properties? The properties of the snake and the properties of the rope all appear simultaneously. Now we are coming to the most interesting part. Brahman and world. First rope and snake பத்தி பார்த்தோம், தனித்தனியா பார்த்தோம், and then we saw certain things about the rope and snake, and then we saw the intrinsic and extrinsic illusion simultaneously in the example of rope and snake. Having done so much of preparation, we come to the real study now. What is the real study? Brahman and the world. Human beings are caught up in their experience. All your experiences have these two illusions playing at the same time. That's what you have to work back. All your experiences is a play of these two illusions. Every experience, all experience, whatsoever you call as good experience, whatsoever you call as bad experience, whatsoever you call as divine experience, whatsoever you call as not so divine experience, all experiences is a play of these two illusions. Now we'll see that. First, rope alone exists. Rope ku badala replace the word rope with Brahman. Brahman alone exists. And that Brahman that is existing has no origin. That's why it is ever existing. That Brahman that is existing has no origin. Fatherless Brahman. Yeah, fatherless Brahman. At least we all have an identity, and Brahman doesn't have an. It is beginningless. It's anadi. It is bigger than the biggest. That's why the word Brahman itself says, the word Brahman in Sanskrit means huge, big, ever expanding, that which can accommodate everything. That which can accommodate everything. Bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest. This Brahman, the reality, ever exists. What you got to understand? You got to understand the properties of the Brahman. Once you understand the properties of the Brahman, then you will know how it is reflected in the world. What are the properties of Brahman? For understanding purposes, we can't really give any property to Brahman, but for understanding purposes, we give some properties. And what are the properties that we give? It is ever present, all pervading. It is ever present. It is all pervading. Eternal, infinite, all pervading. That is the property of Brahman. What is the property of Brahman? What is the property of the rope? Because the wise man is talking, no. The wise man knows the property of the rope. What is the property of the rope? The wise man knows. 6 feet long, 4 inches thick, brown in color. Rope. What is Brahman? Eternal, all-pervading, infinite. This eternal, all-pervading, infinite, intellect cannot understand. Intellect cannot comprehend these 3 words. So what do? Those 3 words are spoken in the language which the intellect can comprehend. What are the 3 words which the intellect can comprehend? Time, space, and causation. அப்படி ஒன்று அதுக்கு லிங்க் கொடுக்கணும். வெங்கட் எப்படியோ ஒரு லிங்க் கொடுத்துட்டாங்க இல்லையா? somehow I created a link now. The property of Brahman is eternal, all-pervading, infinite. And all these intellect cannot comprehend. So you cannot go from unknown to the unknown to the unknown to the unknown. You have to go from known to the unknown. Therefore, what they did, instead of calling it as eternal or pervading infinite, the words that are used, which the intellect can comprehend, is time, space, causation. Now they say, what is the world that you see? The world that you see is time, space, causation. What is your world made up of? Time, space, and causation. And this time appears to be eternal. Appears to be eternal. How do you know time appears to be eternal? At what time did time begin? You can't say. Okay. At what time time will end? At the end of 4 yugas, it will end. No, sir. No. At the end of 4 yugas, it goes into unmanifest. We don't say it ends. Carefully follow that. That's why we say yuga after yuga, it keeps coming back again and it doesn't end. Nowhere it is said, it said it manifests in Satya Yuga and it ends in Kali Yuga, goes into unmanifestation, again it will start. It means time appears to be eternal. Oh, or tick mark. 1 tick mark you put. Correct. Second is space. All-pervading. All-pervading means it is there everywhere. The fact that it is there everywhere is only we are all able to see so many things accommodated. We see so many changes happening. We see a creation, we see a destruction. We see a creation, we see and all this happens in space. The tree exists in space. The wood exists in space. The table exists in space. So everything exists, and for existence to happen, it needs a space. And that space is all-pervading because there cannot be a space where there is no space. Tick mark. Space. So, 3 paperla 2 paper clear பண்ணிட்டோம். We have 3 papers to clear, and we have cleared 2 papers. Yeah. Time is eternal. Space is all-pervading. Now, the third one. What is it? The causation. Infinite it is. Within the world, there seems to be a perfect cause and effect correlationship, but the cause and effect correlationship itself seems to be infinite, not knowing, stretching into what? What started? What? For the tree to exist, you need a seed. Where does the tree come from? Very clear. Seed. Where does the tree come from? seed. Very clear. What comes first? That's a very illogical question. Why? Because you cannot have a tree without the seed, and you cannot have a seed without the tree. It is infinite. The link seems to be infinite. So, eternal, all-pervading, infinite is what appears as the world of time, space, causation. What is that world made up of? Brahman is said to be eternal, all-pervading, infinite. Said by whom? Said by those who have seen it. Who says it? Vedanta says it. The Vedas says it. And what is Vedas and Vedanta? Vedanta is nothing but the enlightened master's words. It is their words. So, what is eternal? Time is eternal. Space is all-pervading. Causation is infinite. Therefore, the properties of Brahman are seen reflected as the properties of the world. And the world acts as the medium, causing the reflection of the properties. The moment the world appears, world-nale three things are there. What are the three things? Properties of rope, properties of Brahman, properties of world, and world. There is the world first. Correct. What are the three things when you see? There is the world that you see, and the world has the properties, and those and where does it? What is the reflection? Brahman. So three things you see: the world, the properties of the world, the properties of Brahman. So first you see world, intrinsic illusion. Now you see three things. What are the three things? The world, the medium, the properties of the world, and the properties of Brahman. Extrinsic. Both the intrinsic and extrinsic illusions appear in the human experience of the world. Nevertheless, there is only one reality. Nevertheless, there is only one reality. The solid seeming world is just a play of the illusions. Just a play of the illusions. You will be perfectly all right as long as you don't understand it as an illusion. The moment you even suspect it as an illusion, after that you are responsible for whatever happens to you after that. We are not responsible. On over. Seriya? As long as you don't suspect it, you are safe. As you are safe now. The moment you start suspecting it as an illusion, and whatever happens to you after that, Ravi, whatever happens to you after that, don't tell Rishika and all to call me. Okay? Don't make Rishika to call me. Don't make your wife to call me. I will say, I don't know who Ravi is. He is also part of the illusion only, we will say. Why? Because the carpet under your feet is pulled, as he says. As Swamiji says, the carpet under your feet is pulled. You have no solid ground to stand upon. There is no solidity to anything after that. Everything looks everything will start appearing very vague, very weird, not knowing what to call it as. Not knowing what to call it as. But then don't worry. You will come back to reality very soon. Yeah. One meal you skip, that is enough, isn't it? The hunger will make you come back to one meal, that is enough to bring you back to reality. One word that you hear is enough to one incident, one word, one situation is enough to the carpet and all will become all right. You will become very steady. Again will become very steady. Again and again and again we become steady. These great masters makes us unsteady. We become steady, they make us unsteady. Hopefully one day we follow their footstep. Hopefully one day we follow their footstep. What is that footstep? Understanding the world as it is. Not what you are seeing it as. Understanding the world as it is. Not what you are seeing it as. Even relatively speaking, understanding mithya helps a lot in bringing about a maturity. What is it? Even relatively speaking, remove the subjective reality and focus on the objective reality, you will be sorted. Even if you don't take the whole world as Maya, even if you don't come to that height, one day we will come to that height for sure. The only difference is in which embodiment, our than difference. Either in this body or in some other body, one day for sure we all will come to this understanding. That will not change. For how long you can be caught up in this drama, you will wake up from the drama. You will wake up to reality one day. Everybody has to wake up. If you refuse to wake up, the knocks and shocks will wake you up, he says. If you refuse to wake up, the knocks and shocks of life will wake you up asking this question about what is real. The knocks and shocks will wake you up to ask this question. What is real? In the Vedic prayer, Rudram, that's what he says. Shiva is with bow and arrow there. The only prayer where you will find Shiva with bow and arrow. See, normally we think Shiva with Trishul. No. In the Vedic prayer, Rudram, Shiva is with bow and arrow. How your arrow doesn't miss the target at all? The student asks. The devotee asks Shiva, how is it that your arrow doesn't miss the target? How is it that is hitting me every time perfectly in the form of knocks and shocks? Same thing in Vishnu. Chakra and Gada. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. The same thing in Vishnu. He has the chakra and the Gada. What does it mean? Instead of going on creating your own subjective realities and getting caught in that, come out of it and see it objectively. That is called Sakshi Bhava. That is called being a Sakshi. What is being a Sakshi? Removing the subjective reality and witnessing the objective reality. That is being a Sakshi. Everyone follow? And that Sakshi is a practice. Now, that is not said in this topic here. He only says there are these two illusions and get out of the two illusions. Yeah. Bonus we are doing now. He's only saying there are these two illusions. Get out of these two illusions. That's all. How do you do that? Relatively and then absolutely. First, you have to do it relatively and then you can move on to it absolutely. What is relatively? You do it first. Don't give it a subjective reality. What is giving it a subjective reality? The person exists. Good person, bad person, pleasant, unpleasant is all what? What is it called? It's all subjective. You create. Are you able to follow? It is your creation. That person exists. And that person exists according to that person's properties and qualities. Guna guneshu. The Bhagavad Gita, he says, no, guna gune. Are you able to follow? See, that person exists. That person means with that person's own properties, gunas. Neither causing you misery nor causing you happiness. Exist. What is subjective reality here? You project something on that person. What is witnessing? What is Sakshi? Not witnessing the other. Making sure that you don't project your subjectivity on that person. When you don't project your subjectivity on that person, you are seeing that person as it is. When you see that person as it is, when you see the situation as it is, what goes out? The affectation goes out. When the affectation has gone, there is a peace. And that peace is required to understand the whole thing as Maya. Are you able to understand the sequence now? First you do it relatively, and that relative practicing gives you a mental peace. With that mental peace, don't go out and indulge. With that mental peace, you don't start indulging. With that mental peace, don't fall off to sleep. With that mental peace, you do manana nididhyasana. With that peace, you do manana nididhyasana and understand. What do you understand? The whole thing is Maya, Mithya. You can use the word Maya, Mithya, and all. I'm using it very synonymously. You can understand the whole thing as Mithya. Mithya means it exists as long as you see it. It has no intrinsic reality of its own. It exists as long as you see it. The dream world exists as long as the dreamer is there. The snake exists as long as you see the snake. How long will I suffer, sir? As long as you see the world. As long as you are giving reality to it, you will suffer. No, sir. Real, unreal and all I will see later. First tell me how not to suffer. Impossible. You will suffer. Impossible. Suffering cannot be taken away from life. There may be temporary forgetfulness of the misery, which you call as happiness. Shailesh, puriyudha? What you call as happiness is nothing but temporarily forgetting the misery. That is why all happiness in the world is all happiness comes out of forgetting, self-forgetting. Do you know that? All worldly happiness is self-forgetting. Ram Subramaniam. I want to draw, sir. Why? So that I can forget everything. Correct? What is it that you want to forget? Misery you want to forget. A person has a drink. For what? You want to forget all the problems. I want to go for a movie and just forget everything for that 3 hours. Go to a temple. For what? Go to an ashram. For what? Vedanta class also we can come for that. Huh? 1 hour, sir. We can forget everything. Appo, at least before pandemic started, we have to well odi varthukku or excuse. Classes was an excuse to run away from home. Now that is also not there. Yeah. When are we starting, sir? Why? Because all happiness is nothing but self-forgetting. Forgetting what? Self-forgetting means temporarily forgetting the misery. And it keeps appearing again and again and again. Knowledge is that which removes it. Why? Because misunderstanding is the problem. Ignorance is the problem. If ignorance is the problem, knowledge becomes the only solution. If ignorance is the problem, knowledge becomes the only solution. But we don't understand ignorance as the problem. We never accept, we never understand ignorance as the problem. We always see something else as the problem. So relatively practicing Sakshi, witnessing, makes you understand what you are, the creator of the problem. Since you are the creator of the problem, you alone can dissolve it. How do you dissolve it? What is seen is mithya. And don't stop here. Huh? What is seen is mithya. And don't stop here. People stop. World is Maya, Maya, they stop. Nothing happens. Nothing will happen because that's not. That's only crossing the well half. You can't, you have to cross it fully. No. You don't. The first half of it you say the world is Maya. The second half of it you say Adhishtanam is Brahman. That Adhishtanam is, you have to conclude that. Vedanta concludes that. It doesn't simply say it is Maya. It says the Adhishtanam is Brahman. So you understand the Maya and you understand the Adhishtanam, Brahman. The purpose of life is to cross over the illusions and recognize the supreme reality behind them, apprehend the reality, attain spiritual enlightenment, become one with Brahman. Becoming one with Brahman is recognizing that you are Brahman already. That is clear. Becoming one with Brahman means recognizing you are Brahman already. Even when the boy saw a snake, there was no snake. Even when the dreamer is experiencing the dream world, there is no dream phenomena. Correct? Even when the dreamer is experiencing the dream world, there is no dream phenomena. But it appears to be so. It's an appearance. So Mithya, Maya says it is only an appearance. How do you know that? In deep sleep, it doesn't exist, which is supremely bliss. And those who have attained the self-realization, they also declare. Two factors to give a conviction. The third factor to give a conviction is all that they are saying is so perfectly and logical, therefore the conclusion also must be logical. Because the last point, the jump from finite to infinite, is beyond the comprehension of the intellect. Therefore, that part we take it on. That part we take it on Shraddha. So, Shraddha, logic. Logic means the Shastras, the words, the experience of the great masters. Three put together gives you enough intellectual conviction to pursue the path and understand the world is Mithya, supported by Brahman. In fact, it is only Brahman. Brahma Satyam, Jagad Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha is the statement. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Jivo Brahmaiva na aparaha. Na aparaha. Not otherwise. The Jiva, the individual is Brahman. Jivo Brahmaiva na aparaha means the individual is Brahman. This is the play of the illusions. Because of a human being caught up in the illusion, Brahman is not seen and the world is seen. How do you get back? Remove the subjective reality and become a sakshi, a witness. Remove the subjective reality and become a sakshi and witness, and you gradually evolve. You come to the understanding that the whole phenomena is Mithya, and you don't stop there. You don't stop by saying world is Mithya. You have to conclude by saying world is Brahman. You don't conclude by saying world is Mithya. You don't stop there. If you are stopping there, you didn't hear properly. You didn't study properly. You don't say world is Mithya and stop. You say what you are seeing is Mithya. What is there is Brahman. What you are seeing is Mithya and what is there is Brahman. Then who are you? Then who are you? Brahman. Then who are you? Brahman. This is the two illusions. Next week we will study the dream lion. If there are any clarifications, we'll take.
Chandralekha, Mala and Amasubramanian. Posted that.
Posted, okay. What is time-space causation? I explained it. Are you okay, Ma? Unmute. She has to be unmuted.
Okay. Sir, that got clarified, sir, in today's class.
Yes.
You said my guna is, you see a person.
Yes.
That is reality. But
Yes.
the guna is my projection. But in ordinary life, when I see a guna of a person, how do I react? I mean, should I not react? For example, when one person, everybody sees the same kind of gunas.
Because
now, how do we deal with that? Can I say just it's a projection, or he has it? Because even Krishna says in Gita, there are gunas.
Correct. Now,
is that guna a projection or a reality?
that person is a mixture of gunas. First is, I see it objectively. Instead of, when I see it objectively means, objectivity implies an unaffected state. Witnessing implies an unaffected state. Supposing I see a person doing an act of corruption. I see a person doing a charitable act. There are two things I am witnessing. A person doing a corrupt act, another person doing an extraordinary charitable act. When I see an extraordinary charitable act, I get affected in a different way. When I see a corrupt action, I get affected in a different way. Yes. Both are affectations. So what is witnessing? Witnessing means this person is acting according to this guna and this person is acting according to this guna. I choose to associate with that person and I choose not to associate with this person. How to deal with that person is never a problem. The problem is understanding that person or a situation objectively is the problem. Once the objectivity comes, the very objectivity will teach you, will show you the light as to how to relate. The beauty of objectivity is not only it reveals, are you able to follow? Objectivity not only reveals, objectivity will show you the light to how to deal with that person. That is the power of knowledge. That is the power of objectivity. I understand, sir, but I do not know how to relate. It means my understanding is not yet objective. Still, somewhere I am getting affected. Is it okay, ma?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So the very objectivity itself will do two things to you. What are the two things? It will reveal that person as it is, and also it will tell you how to relate. How to relate. Relationship could be avoiding. Relationship could be just suggesting. Relationship could be correcting. Are you able to follow? There are very many ways in which relationship will happen. But understanding has to happen first. And then, according to the role, you will know how to relate. Is it okay, ma?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, correct. Second, Mala. Even though the worldly problems is mithya, it still needs to be solved. Mala, perfectly correct. I like your questions. The way that you can bring us to reality, nobody can bring us. Superb. Genuinely, I'm saying very good. Even though the worldly problem is mithya, it still needs to be solved. Problem is how to solve, how to go about solving, what should be the solution, etc.
Angadan sir, problem I may say mithya to an extent. Momentarily, I can probably reduce my emotions, etc. But on the what should the solution be and the tattvam, I may think X is the solution. Others, that is the problem actually. Which the dharmic, what should the dharmic way be?
The moment I give it a reality, the moment I give problem a reality, the moment I give it a sense of reality, I have complicated it. The first thing that I have to do is I should give it not the intensity of reality that I am giving to it, which is my projection, has to be cut first. First, I have to cut what I am projecting on it. Then I see the problem as a problem. First thing that has to be solved is what? My projection on it has to be cut. What makes me to cause my projection? What makes you to cause your projection upon an object or a being? Your raga dvesha.
Yes.
Your raga dvesha. Your raga dvesha is that which projects. It is your raga dvesha. Your terms and conditions. Your raga dvesha means your terms and conditions. So when you project your raga dvesha, it gives you make it so real that it becomes unsolvable.
True.
So first thing is what? Don't give it, don't view it through your raga dvesha. That's what we say. Knowledge means see it as it is. Don't view it through your raga dvesha. When you view it through your raga dvesha, there is a problem. Are you able to follow?
So does it mean
When the same situation is seen by three different people with three different raga dveshas?
Yes.
Same situation.
Yes.
Situation is the same. There are 5 people seeing it, and all 5 has a different bunch of raga dvesha. And there will be 5 different solutions to one seeing. If there are 100 people seeing it, 100 different solutions. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
The same person saying a word.
So by removing my raga dvesha, should I then, let's say the problem is between 2 persons, by removing my raga dvesha,
Yes.
It could also mean I am saying okay to the other person's raga dvesha.
No.
Because he will win. I mean, he will.
There is no winning here. There is no winning here. Mala, carefully follow. There is no winning here. What is happening is you are not accepting his raga dvesha. You are not yielding to that person. You are only understanding it rightly and appropriately. As I told Chandralekha, you will respond appropriate to the role and your obligation. Carefully follow that. One is understanding, another is the appropriate response. The appropriate response is determined by your role and obligation. The understanding has to be there first. Now we are so concerned about the appropriate response. The appropriate response cannot come without proper understanding. Are you able to follow? All of us are worried about how to appropriately respond. How to appropriately respond. The appropriate knowing how to respond appropriately only comes if the understanding is right. And what is the right understanding? Remove your likes and dislikes and see it as it is first. That gives you some understanding. And that understanding is the right understanding. And then according to your obligations and the role, you will decide how to appropriately respond. Are you able to follow? You remove your likes and dislikes first and see it as it is, and then according to the role and obligations, you choose to respond appropriately. That's how you solve it. But before choosing to do that, you need to see it as it is first. The problem with us is we are so colored in the beginning already. In the beginning itself, we are so colored. Why we are so colored in the beginning? Because likes and dislikes. Are you able to follow? So that is how you can solve it. The appropriate response is not the problem. The appropriate response comes once you see it as it is. Once you see it as it is, the role and obligation comes in. For example, if the neighboring person says something, you have no obligation. You can ignore and go. If somebody closer to you says a different response, are you able to follow? If somebody much closer to you say a different response. So the way in which you will respond will differ according to the context. It is the context that determines how you will respond. Context means your obligation, the role. And finally, knowledge starts here. I have said this any number of times and I keep saying it again and again. A situation that you do not know how to handle appears like a problem. What is a problem? What is the definition of a problem? A situation. If you know how to handle it, you will not call it as a problem, will you? There is no problem as well. So problem is nothing but a situation that you do not know how to handle. So first thing, instead of calling it as a problem, I start calling it as a situation. Caused by what? A situation caused by what? By the existence of the other or my likes and dislikes. Are you able to follow? Situation caused by what? The existence of the other or my likes and dislikes. If it is existence of the other, nothing can be done. Why? Because something or the other will exist like that. So what do I do? I start doing something within myself. Are you able to understand? That's how it works. Mala, Sriya? Okay. Yes. Yes.
Extension of the same question.
Yeah.
You say you should have the right understanding.
Yes.
I want to understand the word understanding. I think what I understand is that assuming that the individual has X amount of selfishness and X amount of unselfishness and X amount of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamo Guna. And is this right? Assessment is the understanding.
Exactly. Assessment is understanding. Assessment is seeing it as it is, not what you want it to be.
Yes.
That is assessment. Assessment is understanding. Assessment means understanding. Seeing it as it is, not what you want it to be. When you say, this is how I want it to be, Nada, your Raga Dvesha has come in. This is how it is. That is assessment.
And you don't try to change the person.
First understand. Don't worry about changing. First understand. Then if do you have an obligation to change? Is that your role? Do you have a role? Is that your obligation? If yes, then only you attempt all that. That's why I'm saying again and again and again, the appropriate response is decided by your obligation and the roles. Why are you ignoring that? Understanding is right assessment. That's all. What is right understanding? Right assessment. What is right assessment? Nose is here. Yeah, this is the nose. Assessment. Beautiful nose, ugly nose. What is it called? Are you able to follow? The moment you call it as beautiful nose, you will want the nose like this. The moment you call it as ugly nose, you will want me to go and do a correction. Huh? That's why we want to correct the other. Are you able to follow? Nose is here. Nose is bottle. Poor thing. Nature's creation, God's creation, it is there. You call it, if you call it as beautiful, you will want a nose like this. If you call it as ugly, what will you do? You will want me to go on correct, because you say, till you correct it, I can't see you. I can't see you till you correct it. For which I will say, close your, correct, close your eyes, get lost, fight starts. Correct? Are you able to follow? Understanding means assessment. In assessment, your likes and dislikes has no role to play. Carefully follow. Assessment means right knowledge. In right knowledge, your likes and dislikes have no role to play. Apple is an apple. Apple has certain properties. Apple has certain qualities. What is your likes and dislikes got to do with that? Nothing. So first understand it as it is. After understanding, decide what to do next. Don't jump. You have to follow? So understanding means assessment. Assessment means without interfering with your likes and dislikes. Are you okay?
What is the meaning of assessing rightly? How do you understand that person rightly? This is the guna.
This is the guna. That's all. This is the guna. This person is this. This person is behaving like this because this person has this guna. A person is vulgar because that is the guna. The person is stinging because that is the guna. That person is very compassionate because that is the guna.
Easy answer.
That's all. That is the assessment. Some people are stinging, some people are vulgar, some people are compassionate. You understand it as the guna. But you will want the compassionate person to be vulgar, the vulgar person to be compassionate. How does that work? Are you able to follow? That doesn't work. Lastly, how much are you willing to correct when the other tells you to correct? If you are not willing to correct yourself when the other tells you to correct, you have no right to ask. You go and tell somebody you are wrong and that person tells you you are wrong. How much are you willing to listen? How much are you correcting yourself? Just as I ignore that person's remark, that person also will ignore. Where is the problem? Are you able to follow? That's how you understand it right. Ram Subramanian, clarification. To remove or reduce impurities, we saw that Karma Yoga helps. To remove projections, Vikshepa, and to remove coverings, Avarna, would it be correct to say that Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga are the respective paths to be followed? Yes, Ram Subramanian. the three paths, karma, bhakti, and jnana. Jnanam removes the ignorance. Bhakti removes the nama rupa affectations and you see it as divine. You see it's God everywhere. Bhakti removes what? Bhakti removes affectations that happens because of nama rupa and you start seeing everything as divine. You see everything as God, or you see everything as God's children or God, whatever be it. That is bhakti. Correct? So that removes that. Jnana yoga removes the covering, ignorance. Bhakti yoga removes the affectations of nama rupa, because you see everything as God. That is bhakti yoga. And what is karma yoga? Impurities. Mala, avarna, vikshepa. Mala. What is mala? Krodha, lobha, mada, matsarya, bhaya, idallam mala. Karma yoga removes that impurities. Correct. That is why we say karma bhakti jnana, do karma bhakti jnana, do karma bhakti jnana, do karma bhakti jnana. We keep saying that. Why? Because specific disease, specific cure. It is such a beautiful knowledge. It is such a fantastic knowledge. For the specific problem, specific cure. Bhakti removes a specific problem. Jnanam removes a specific problem. Karma removes a specific problem. When all these three specific problems are attended to and removed, Maya goes out. Where is Maya after that? If Mala, Avarna, Vikshepa is gone, where is Maya after that? That's why, in all practical sense, we say, do karma bhakti jnanam, do karma bhakti jnanam, do karma bhakti jnanam. From Subramanian. Okay? Yeah. Last one, Venkatachalam.
So my question relates to an introduction you gave in the previous class. You talked about Maya has three qualities, and
Yes.
Maya also has a positive aspect to it.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to relate to some of the fundamental lessons that you gave about reflected consciousness versus Sakshi Bhava consciousness. Is reflected consciousness, is that what helps us to overcome our awareness limited by our instruments, see beyond our instruments, and see the world as it is?
Exactly correct.
It is that what is, that is given by Maya itself. That's a power of Maya, the positive aspect.
Yes. That is why I said Maya is not that bad, is not that powerful, because it cannot eliminate the discrimination. Maya is very powerful, but not all powerful, because it can cloud the discrimination but cannot eliminate it. So what do we do? By this study and reflection, we keep working backwards, we keep working backwards, we keep working backwards. The layers of Maya gets thinner and thinner and thinner. That is a positive aspect. Because so much we talk about Maya, looks like it is impossible to conquer, no?
Yes.
Looks like that's it. We are a victim of Maya and that's it. No way there is out of Maya. No, no, no. There is a silver lining, they say, no? There is a silver lining. What is that silver lining? Maya can only temporarily shroud, cover the discriminatory power. It cannot eliminate it. Cannot eliminate it. If discriminatory power can be eliminated, then we have no way out at all. Then we have no way out at all. See, even though we are all caught up in this Maya, at least we are able to sit and discriminate about it, not talk about it, not analyze about it. No, it is because of the discriminatory power. Even though we are victims of Maya now. So it is a reflected, that aspect of the reflected consciousness, and then going beyond that helps. Correct. It helps.
So in the same context, you're also mentioned about the quality of the reflecting medium, that intellect, the quality of of without dirt, or the quality of the reflecting medium itself. That means all individuals are not in the same understanding or the same capacity
Yes,
to overcome the limitation of the quality of the intellect. That is
Exactly.
something we are born with.
yes,
Is it a Purva Janma?
yes.
Or,
It is what we have done in the last Janma. What I am born with in this Janma is what I did in Purva Janma.
so the reflecting mediums also
Yes. It differs because
differs.
it differs. See, if there are 30 people in this session, all 30 will understand what I am saying differently only. Not all 30 will not understand it in the same way. Why? Because the discriminatory powers are different. Correct? That is something we are born with and which can be improved upon.
Okay.
It is something we are born with and it can be improved upon. If it cannot be improved upon, then there is no point. Is it okay, Venkatachalam?
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. With this, we conclude the 2 illusions today. And next week, we will start with the Dream Lion, Play Your Role, You and 3 States. We'll read all that together and then we'll see what, because it's going to be explained in the next